Oh, that's a great ball. Oh, it had to be. Haaland!
Overlap! Nketiah! He's got the big chance. He's got the big chance. And it's Salah for Liverpool! Oh! Fantastic goal!
That as well, of course, because Stuart played and managed for Manchester City. Very different club back then. But what about this for achievement? 5 out of 6 and 3 in a row. And that's only the second Premier League team to do it.
Well, they're in the middle, I think, of a massive dynasty of football at the moment, you know. They could have their hands on the FA Cup and the Champions League over the next couple of weeks. The brand of football Manchester City are playing, I've been fortunate enough to cover their recent games, and every time I go up there, they take the level of football to a new level that I've never seen before, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think they're that good. Some of the players that you think, John Stones, for instance, you know, he's playing a brand of football, the football of his life, you know, and you go right through the whole team and the whole squad in respect to that, Jack Grealish, and the list goes on. So for them, it's brilliant. I'm sure they'd have preferred to have won it tomorrow on their own pitch, winning a game or whatever, but you take what you can. They've been worthy champions, and Arsenal, credit to them, have pushed them all the way. If it wasn't for Arsenal, we wouldn't have had a title race. Yeah. Make no mistake about that.
And they will get the trophy tomorrow. 7 games ago, they were 8 points behind Manchester City. Not just the brand of football, as Stuart rightly says, the mentality they've shown again, and momentum to get this title this year.
Yeah, definitely the momentum. I think the mentality is probably a given in the respect that they've done it and done it and done it over a period of time. I just think they're serial winners now, so I don't think we could question how they were going to perform in the run-in. They've just been absolutely faultless. And when you say about there was an 8-point difference the other way, the swing has been incredible. You stop to think, did Arsenal lose a grip on their form? Did Manchester City kick into another gear?
Well, they've won 11 in a row, haven't they, City?
And it's inevitably, obviously, a little bit of both. But there's no question that Manchester City are the best team in the league at the moment. And with Stuart, I mean, I watched them in Champions League the other day, and I'm struggling to remember, I should say, a better performance in my life than that in the first half. They were mind-blowingly good, and I do think they're justifiably champion.
I don't think you can question the quality of the manager, the coach, the players, and the intensity of their I don't know, the determination to win and have a standard of football that we are talking about as some of the greatest we've ever seen. And remember, earlier on in the season, he was, after the Tottenham game, I think it was, he was asking what's going on. Why has everybody got this kind of why is everybody down? Are we losing our drive, our energy? They're obviously not. We can't ignore that they have got the capability of maybe buying the players that they can continue to replenish a squad that we've seen, just demolish teams. Look at you look at Liverpool trying to chase them down. You saw what happened to Arsenal. Arsenal drew 3 games, drew them, and we know that Manchester City are able to go on that run where you can't afford to do that against this team, because they do not slip up at this stage of the season, and this is why 5 out of the 6 Premier Leagues, they've won them, because they've got the best coach, they've got the best team, they've got great resources, and it's very difficult for other teams to try and live up to the pressure of not. Liverpool lost 1 game, so the levels they're setting, and this is why I think it's going to be a tough job for Arsenal, and it's going to be so hard, but I think Edu and Mikel are all over it in trying to bring the kind of player that can sustain a challenge.
OK, much more reaction to come. Manchester City, for the 9th time in their history, are champions without kicking a ball. After the games we've seen on the penultimate Saturday that began with Brentford coming from behind to win 3-1 at Spurs. No Tony, no problem, they European place. Manchester United are a point off that after a 1-0 win at Bournemouth, courtesy of Casemiro in terms of the Champions League. 2-2 between Fulham and Palace. Liverpool with Roberto Firmino in his very last appearance at Anfield, equalising against Aston Villa. So too Everton in the 99th minute from Yerry Mina at Wolves. How important that goal could be, we will find out next weekend. And Forest beating Arsenal. Forest are safe. Manchester City are champions. So tomorrow on Sunday, Leeds must win at West Ham to have the fate in their own hands going into the final day. Brighton still looking at Europe. They're at home to relegated Southampton, and City will get the trophy at home to Chelsea at the Etihad, and an enormous game on Monday as well. Leicester are on the brink. They're at Newcastle, who need just a point to be sure of Champions League football next season. So Southampton down, Leicester up against it, 3 from safety with 2 to play. As I say, Leeds play tomorrow. If they win, Everton will drop into the bottom 3 and it'll then be in Leeds' hands on the final day. But Nottingham Forest up there with West Ham on 37 points. They will be playing Premier League football next season. And incidentally, all 3 promoted clubs survive. That's just the 4th time in Premier League history that has happened. All 3 come back for more next season. And at the top, no more permutations, no more ifs, buts or maybes. There is the letter C. Next to Manchester City, again, they are Manchester City Premier League champions. Then come Arsenal, Newcastle and Manchester United. Both just needed 1 point from their last 2 games to assure themselves of Champions League football next season. All the reaction to come to Nottingham Forest staying in the Premier League, and once again, for the 5th time in 6 seasons, Manchester City becoming Premier League champions. 5 in 6 then from Manchester City. Shay Given, the former City goalkeeper, is with us. Did you expect this to happen today without kicking a ball, first of all?
No, definitely not. Obviously, Forest are fighting for their lives, of course, but I thought Arsenal would have won today. I really did. Maybe even a draw, but just give credit to Forest. The job that Steve Cooper's done is phenomenal. And I think Arsenal's obviously the race is run, isn't it? Arsenal maybe didn't approach the game properly. I suppose the same as Brighton last week. They didn't have the right mentality to really push it to the last 2 games of the season. So yeah, huge congratulations to my old club. I don't know how they're going to celebrate because they've got a big game tomorrow in Chelsea, but I would imagine there'll be some sort of get together, I would think, tonight. It's a special night for the players and the staff, of course. And you mentioned Pep Guardiola there, Steve, and the job he's done. 5 titles in 6 years is just an unbelievable record. Well, how do you follow this man? I don't know, but he's a special manager, and the squad and the players that he's assembled and the brand of football is just out of this world. And they're at the top of the tree again, and everyone's trying to catch up.
Yeah, Pep Guardiola's won the title in 11 of his 14 seasons as a manager. Was there at a stage this season where you thought he might not with Arsenal's lead?
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal were flying. I think they had a lead in January. I think it was that wasn't, no team didn't win the league. Had the same amount of points in January, but they just kept going the last whatever amount of games. The home run for Man City was just, they got the bit between their teeth, as they seem to do in the second half of the season, every single season. And they just chase down teams or at the top of the league, and they win every single game. They're relentless. They're a team of winners. They're a squad of winners. The likes of Alvarez, who's on the bench most weeks, who's just won the World Cup. The strength and depth, Foden, Mahrez, all these guys not even on the pitch. And then you look at Haaland this year, 52 goals. Just a phenomenal record. Jack Grealish has come into his own this year. Bernardo Silva. I mean, the list goes on. De Bruyne. I mean, you could be here all day. Gundogan again with some important goals at key moments. The performances all over the pitch. John Stones is playing 7 different positions, I think. So there's some outstanding performances.
And Shay, finally, any doubt in your mind they're going to do this treble now? 2 huge cup finals to play.
Yeah, the only question now is what does Pep do to the remaining 3 games? Obviously, you've got Chelsea tomorrow, 4 o'clock, and then, Brighton and Brentford the last 2 games. So you don't want to just down tools now and play the reserves because they've got a huge couple of games and 2 cup finals. He has to keep the fitness right and the balance right and keep the mentality right, because everyone thinks they're just going to turn up in both finals and win it. But we all know in sport and football it's never that easy, Steve. So it's just getting the balance right with fitness and keeping his best players sharp for both finals. But just want to say huge congratulations to the whole lot of them. What a great season again.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you tomorrow from the Etihad. You've got a lucky ticket to see that trophy presented. Shay, thank you very much indeed. Our good friend Owen Hargreaves was in the Manchester City squad when they won their first ever Premier League title. Can you believe there's 6 others now that have followed, Owen?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's the one thing that really surprised me when I was there was the quality of the football club. Not just the players you know, that you saw the Yaya Toure and David Silva and Sergio Aguero. It was more the fact what they also had behind the scenes in the whole football club. I was blown away at kind of in every department they had the best of the best. And I just think then you see what they're going to go on to achieve and the greatness they're going to.
City have shown 5 in 6 seasons in a league as hard as the Premier League.
Well, I think it comes from Pep and it comes from the top, because if you think back to January, you know, some of the issues that they had, you know, obviously Cancelo leaving, that was a huge surprise, arguably the best fullback in the world. You know, I think even Gundogan at times was critical of the team. Pep was critical of the even publicly. And then I think eventually, you know, whether Cancelo World Cup, I don't know, but he left. And all of a sudden, John Stones come in at right back and been absolutely magnificent. You think about the impact that Kanji's had, which Ake has had. This is a different Manchester City team. You know, before we always had those brilliant world-class fullbacks. Now Zinchenko's gone, Gabriel Jesus is gone, Sterling's gone. The players that he didn't feel fit the mold anymore, he went in and replaced them, and the players have come in and done an incredible job. And I think it stems from Pep. Pep makes big calls. You know, if he doesn't like something, he calls it out, like the body language in January. And then all of a sudden they have the capacity to go on these incredible runs where they can go and win 11 games in a row. And in the end, you know, they got the top scorer in the division in Haaland in 36. They got the top creator in Kevin De Bruyne. They've got the most goals scored. They got the best defense. They virtually tick every box. And I think Pep isn't satisfied with mediocrity. You know, he wants the best of the best, and that's why, you know, this could go down as one of the greatest teams we've ever seen. If they win the treble, they put themselves in a conversation with only the best of the best.
Thank you, Owen. We'll see you in here tomorrow when City get the trophy at the Etihad. Just to round off, Stuart, as I said, a very different club to when you were here. 5 out of 6 has only been done 3 times in English top-flight history. That's the type of achievement and standards we're talking about here.
It tells you everything. I mean, Manchester City have wrestled the bias across Manchester from United, no doubt. In my last year as a manager, Pep sat in my office. He come on trial for 3 days, you know, and it's amazing his journey now from that connection 16 years ago, however long it was, to actually what he's achieved at Manchester City is incredible.
Stuart, brilliant to have you with us today, and congratulations to Nottingham Forest as well, who have stayed in the Premier League. But Manchester City have done it again, another golden moment. 5 in 6 years. Congratulations. Welcome back. This was always going to be a huge game at top and bottom, and it's a huge scoreline at half-time with Nottingham Forest leading by 1-0. As it stands, that means that Manchester City would be champions for the 5th time in 6 seasons. And at the bottom, remember, after Everton today got a late equaliser against Wolves, Leeds play tomorrow, Nottingham Forest would be safe. They would stay in the Premier League. Stuart Pearce, the Forest legend, can you imagine the nerves around the City ground after that first half?
Well, there will be bigger nerves if Arsenal were winning 1-0. You know, they've come out the blocks, they've got on the front foot, and they've got a tactical approach, and they've been very compact, safety in numbers, but when they've turned the switch on the counter-attack, they've really gone.
19% possession they've had in that first half.
They won't worry about that. They really won't worry about that. The scoreline's everything at this moment in time, this stage of the season.
All the teams down there are looking for a goal scorer. A1E, he's suddenly found 5 in 3, more than any other player in the Premier League.
Exactly.
In that period. What did he do here? What went?
Well, his run was very good for a start, you know, and they defended very well, like Stu said, they're very compact. But when they break here, obviously he's going to break off to the right-hand side, you know, the pass, and then he's got the luck there, you see, because it comes off of Gabriel Jesus and then it hits him. But it was perfect for what they're doing. They're very deep. They're getting men around them. You know, Erdegaard's got so many bodies around him. He's tried to just pop that back into midfield there, and you know, they're on it. And to the person you really don't want, if you're Arsenal, to get on it, Gibbs White, and look at them go there.
Look how explosive they are as well,
Yeah.
the supporters. Not just Gibbs White with the ball driving forward and committing players, but the 2 supports from either side. They're going at sprint pace. And to be fair, when we first saw it, we thought, well, he slotted it away quite well. You feel sorry for Gabriel because he's got first contact on this ball.
Yeah, I actually think it's a very average ball, Stuart. I think he should be playing it a little bit wider, as that arrow shows. Actually plays it narrow, and that allows Gabriel to get a boot on it. And as we saw from the previous shot, Gabriel actually kicks the ball into Awoniyi and it's ends up being quite a fortunate finish. So they get away with that one. I think it's an average ball rating, personally.
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's a little bit behind Gibbs White, and he has to kind of like really drive it through to get there. But there it is. Look,
yeah.
When you're having that kind of form, what he's in at the minute, or when you get that kind of luck. Me and Piercy was just saying, it's the kind of thing that he's working hard up there. He's run onto it, and he's got that bit of luck.
What do you want to see from Arsenal now to try and get back into this?
Well, they're going to have to do a little bit more in respect to passing through the lines down the middle. I'd like to see Jesus stay in the middle because you've got Ødegaard buzzing around him. You've got Jorginho trying to pass the ball into those lines because everything's going wide. It's going wide and they're very compact. It's got to go in quicker so as people can either one touch, round the corner, a little bit of inventiveness, people running off it, third man running, simply to move them about a bit. We can't move them about.
I think most of Arsenal's threats come down Saka's side, the right-hand side. I've not seen too much on that left-hand side from Arsenal. And what they've got to do, Forest, is make sure that they keep doubling up all the time on Saka. All it takes is someone to switch off and isolate the fullback one-on-one. But I think that right-hand side is where the real threat for Arsenal is coming.
As I say, all the teams down there need someone to pop up with the goals. Awoniyi, one of 30, yes, 30 players that have arrived in the last 2 windows at Forest, is certainly stepping up to the plate.
Worth his weight in gold, you know, scoring goals at this stage of the season. It's an incredible time to start scoring. Gibbs White starting to play really well as well. They've got Brennan Johnson on the bench who can always change things. But I agree with Stuart, they're playing a very, very defensive game. They've got all this energy within the stadium, but they're playing very, very defensively and they're going to break at any opportunity. It's down to Arsenal to try to break them down.
I think what Arsenal got to do is they've got to keep trying to break them down because as the game gets longer, as we get deeper into the game, then Forest might start to get a bit nervous about the fact that can they hold on to this because that's their survival. And then that is when you need them to be as compact as they've been up to this point. So it's going to be interesting to see how Arsenal go at them.